Welcome to the Sound Like Us podcast and to today's guest, singer-songwriter Billie Fox. Billie, good morning and welcome to Sound Like Us. How are you doing today?
I am doing very well. I've got my coffee ready for today.
Brilliant. Yeah. But we got to have
So
a
yeah,
coffee.
doing
It's
very well.
got to be done. Has to be done.
Exactly.
Right. Let's start by having you telling us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Billie. Grew up in London, I live in a small village near Reigate called Bletchley. So I'm kind of into like the country life now. But I am a musician. So I play guitar, but I'm basically dominantly in a band at the moment. So it's my
Okay.
band, I write the songs, and then we do, lots of gigs in the area and surrounding areas, and yeah, kind of an artist actively releasing music.
Good. Right. So how did the music that your parents listened to influence you growing up?
Um, so I would say that it so from about 0 to 7, I had my mum as an influence, and she was kind of into um Coldplay, like
Mm,
some kind of a lot of old school garage
yeah.
type music. But then
Okay.
she passed away when I was 7.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So no, that's okay. So she passed away when I was 7, and I ended up being raised by my nan,
Mm,
who was she was classically trained. She played piano, and she was always singing to be honest, her influence was basically classical music and Robbie Williams. So my
really?
influence kind of stopped. Yeah, like, basically that was all
Blimey.
she liked. Yeah. Um, but then I kind of, obviously, where I did lose my mum and I didn't have my dad around, I kind of just took influences from elsewhere. And so my
Yeah.
uncle was really into his rock and roll bands,
Mm.
played guitar. So yeah, that's kind of where my journey began, I guess.
Right, okay. So that you sort of drew a lot of different things from different sort of parts, kind of.
Yeah, I would say, I think when you kind of lose a parent so young, you
Mm,
do kind of latch on to many different people in your life, whether
mm,
that's, friends of my mum or different family members. And because of that, I've been able to take different tastes and, like take what I can in a
yeah,
positive way,
yeah,
sometimes negative, because some people's music taste can be a bit interesting, but it's one of those things.
yeah, so to speak, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
So can you sort of share how your background and the places you grew up in, like Mitcham and South London and
Yeah, it
stuff
was
like
London.
that, how that helped to shape you musically?
I think so. Obviously, growing up in South London, I mean, I went to school in Wimbledon, and
Mm,
I think it's a very diverse place to be around. But to be honest, I've kind of always stayed in my own lane when it comes to making music. I think I've always had wide range of taste, and I'm influenced heavily by the moment that I'm in, because my taste changes all the time, which is quite reflective in what I write. So I'll write to what I'm into at that time. But yeah, I think as I've got older and I've kind of progressed, I've kind of sort of created my own genre to an extent, So,
yeah,
but I think that does come from, being surrounded by so many different people.
yeah, yeah. South London's definitely a very diverse, lively, vibrant place, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's true. I mean, I think when I moved to like Surrey, there was a lot more kind of streamlined of what type of music was out and about, and
Mm,
that in itself was an experience. But yeah, there was never a dull moment in South London for sure.
no, definitely. So were there any particular experiences that you can remember in your community growing up when it comes to music?
I would say, like, well, I guess kind of what I was saying about moving to um Surrey, I think, is when I first kind of experienced. I always made I did music in GCSE, and I wasn't really known as a singer but as soon as I realized I kind of had this thing, I
Yeah,
could sing and I could play guitar. I kind of ran with it, and I ended up moving to Surrey, and everyone was into like rock music. And that was kind of where I first started to really like the sound of instruments. And I think that's kind of what I use now for everything.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. You said you're a Croydon boy, but there was like that venue, Scream Lounge. So that was my
yeah. I remember
kind of
Scream.
first taste. But they've closed
Yeah,
that down now.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places that have closed down. Rock Bottom's still there, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah, yeah. It's been
I haven't
years
been
since I've
there
been
in
to Scream.
ages. Yeah.
I went into Croydon yesterday. There's nothing there. It's a
Yeah.
shell.
That's
shell of a
literally where I
place.
used to go out, when I was like 18. That was like my
Same,
going out.
same.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's
Nothing,
definitely
nothing
changed.
there. Awful place. Don't get me on that. I'll start talking about Croydon Council and then
Yeah, I mean, it's on
words
my
might leave my
passport, so I'm
mouth.
allowed to slate it. It's with me forever.
Yeah, true. So your bio says you're making an unapologetic call for individuality and self-expression. What inspired that?
I think that I have never really fitted into a box, I
Yeah.
guess. Like, I mean, when I was 16, so my whole life I had the longest hair, and then when I was 16, like I got my hair cut, and
Mm,
my braces had come off, and I don't know, I just felt like I needed to like express myself somehow.
mm,
And I think everyone has their own story, everyone has their own sort of
yeah.
uniqueness to them, and I'm a
Mm,
real advocate in that. And I think a
yeah.
lot of people kind of, have always tried to like almost identify me, and it's like, well, that's not your job. You know what I mean? So I think for me, it's like I want to carry that message of just be comfortable in your own skin, and don't let people tell you what you are. Like, it is kind of, you are who you are, and that's a very precious thing to carry. You're the only person
Mm,
on this earth that's you,
yeah.
and you know. So yeah, that's kind of my call out to the world.
Yeah. People need to remember that sort of, especially when it comes to music, that individuality is what it's all about. And you need to let that shine.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think as well, so I did performing arts in college, and I ended up with like an agent and stuff. And I remember the agent always said to me, it stayed with me forever. And it was like never
Mm,
change your uniqueness.
mhm.
And obviously I went into music afterwards, but I think I've always kept that with me. So, yeah, like I said, unique and individuality is very important
Yeah.
when it comes to any sort of creativity.
Absolutely. Is there a specific piece of music that transports you to another time or place? Maybe something that brings back kind of memories, emotions?
Do you know what? For me, and it's quite a good genre, but it's any sort of like old school garage. Like I said, I think it reminds me of my mum and our days together. And, I remember dancing in the kitchen as like a little kid to Sweet Like Chocolate. So, and you don't really hear it anymore. Like, it's not a
No.
genre that's as
Strange, isn't it?
played. It is. And, I think, back then, like, oh gosh, I wish I was born in like the 70s, 80s, just so I could go out raving in the 90s, but
Yeah.
I feel like even though I was so young, because there were such pinnacle memories for me, like it
Yeah.
still means just as much as it was for, yeah, someone who was born in the 80s,
You're making me feel very old at the minute.
like, I mean, I'm 96, so I'm a 90s baby, so I take
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I definitely danced to Sweet Like Chocolate, but I did it in the dance floor at the Blue Orchid in Croydon.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the living room, but it was my kind of Croydon, I guess.
Yeah.
It was in Croydon still. So,
Yeah. That kind of works. So who
yeah.
would you say are your main influences?
I have many, I'll be honest. Um, as I'm one of those people that like I go through albums, so I don't have like a
Mm,
playlist that I sort of go on to. So I'll have multiple albums, and I'll probably stream one album for like weeks. So
mm.
I don't know if you know Ren.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, he's a very like he's
Think of them.
super famous, but doesn't get
Mm.
like
The credit they deserve. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he's like doing amazingly, but his music isn't like radio kind of
Mm.
safe, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but other albums and stuff I listen to is Fleetwood Mac. I love Justin Bieber. That's like my guilty
Hmm.
pleasure, but I absolutely love him. Red Hot Chili Peppers. So
Great band.
yeah, I think just, and a lot of these people are very come later on in life. Like, I'd say when I realized but as soon as like streaming platforms came in, because I grew up with my nan, so I wasn't bought many good albums. And like I said, she was very just into her classical music and Robbie
Mm.
Williams. So as soon as like streaming platforms came along, I realized, oh, that's that song that goes with that artist, and that comes from that album. So as soon as I was able to
Yeah.
listen to like full albums, and it was like at my fingertips, my music range just went completely wild. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a big world out there musically. Once you get onto Spotify, I think everything's on there.
that's it. Yeah, exactly.
Right. I've got a random question for you.
Okay.
If you could take any person to any gig in history by any artist, A, who would you take? be, what gig would it be? And why would you take that person to that gig?
Any person in history.
It
Does it have to be like a musician?
could be anyone you want.
Okay.
Anybody.
Okay, I would take David Attenborough to a Jacob Collier gig.
Wow.
You know,
Okay.
just because I feel like David Attenborough is very spiritual, very into his like nature. I think
Yeah.
Jacob Collier is too, so he would enjoy it. But I
Okay.
feel like when I see Jacob Collier, he is literally like a creature, but in a good way. Like you could I would love to hear
Yeah.
David Attenborough's commentary on Jacob Collier's style. So
That'd be worth it. I have to look into that. Right. What's the first piece of music you ever wrote?
so I used to start off with like parodies. I used to just,
Yeah.
make things that take the mick out of anything and everyone, to be honest. It was mainly in school. But I'd say my first proper song, which I wrote to guitar, was a song called Oh Baby. And it was about this guy I was dating,
Mm.
and it was all a bit very sassy. It was awful, but I remember sort of playing it to my family and them going, that's cool, and I'd sing it to like the kids and then from there it just kind of spiraled. Just kept writing.
Yeah. I see. You recall the first time you ever went to a gig? Like, who was it? What venue?
Yeah. So my boyfriend at the time was really into Shikari, and I
Okay.
wasn't at all. So do you know who Enter Shikari are? They're quite like
I've heard of them. Yeah.
they're kind of like, they're quite heavy, but they mix like rock with drum and bass, which
Okay.
at the time I was quite into like drum and bass and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. And it was at the Roundhouse in Camden, and we went. And honestly, my boyfriend at the time was trying to pull me out of mosh pits because I just couldn't get away from them. So I was getting into getting elbowed in the face, but I just absolutely loved it. So that was like the first like rock gig that I'd been to, and gig that actually made me feel something, that I was like, yeah, I want to do this kind of forever.
Okay.
Every gig since, I almost go there to kind of learn and like get kind of stage presence ideas and steal little tips here and then how they work the crowd.
You can learn a lot from people. I was at a gig a couple of Wednesdays ago, and I was obviously listening to the music, but I'm watching how they're playing the guitar, like the little intricacies, what they're doing here and there, and trying to learn and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know if you know an artist called Tash Sultana. She's like an
No.
Australian. She's like, I've been to her gig twice now. She's actually touring next year here as well. But she's one of those artists that can she's a really good looper, so she can play every instrument, loops all of her instruments. And honestly, I think that she's incredible. And I remember seeing her at Ali Pali first, and you could just feel like every sound she makes, you can feel it like rushing through your toes, through your body, So
Yeah.
and just her energy, she's just like, she's just her on her own. She can just really work a crowd.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
yeah, you definitely learn a lot.
So your new single, which we're going to be hearing later, is called You Fly, I Fly, We Fly. Tell us about the inspiration and meaning behind it.
Yeah, so You Fly, I Fly, We Fly. I mean, the title, I guess what it means is that if you're doing well, I'm doing well, and which means we're all doing well. So it's all about helping each other. It's all about being there for one another. But the inspiration came because I have a friend called Laura, and I went to her house, and outside her bathroom she had this artwork, and it literally said, You fly, I fly, we fly. And I sort of said, oh, this is really good. That's really lovely. Like, what does it mean?
Yeah.
Like, we sort of got talking about it, and she was explaining her story, and her friend gave it to her when she was kind of in need. It's kind of like her mantra, I guess, so it's, and I just really loved it. And then I went away and I sort of wrote like a verse and a chorus and sent it to her, and then she helped with the second verse. So, it's a big song about collaboration and getting friends involved, and it's just a really kind of healing song.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the strength of togetherness, and if you succeed, we all succeed, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like there's a lot of people that are quite envious of other people, and there's a lot of, this world can be very competitive and very, like quite brutal sometimes. And by all means, we all need competitiveness, but I think people are stronger in numbers. And I do think, and it's kind of why I perform in a band. Like, I love collaborating with people. I love being able to connect with my audience and help other people. Like, I think there's more than enough space in the music industry, as well as just life in general, to be there for others. And but also, if you help others, it does make you feel good as well, and there's plenty of people that help you. So it's a very important song. It's kind of a song that I guess I wish I was sent when I was kind of in the trenches, so it's one of those that you could send to your friend if they're feeling really down. It's like, don't carry things on your own, like you can share.
Yeah. So is that that piece of art, is that the cover artwork for the single?
No, it's
okay.
Yeah, the artwork. I was thinking of doing that, but the artwork was actually made by Laura, because she's good at like art and stuff. Yeah. So, and the artwork. I mean, I haven't even released it yet in terms of what the artwork's going to be, but it's basically an air balloon.
Yeah.
And so, like, I've got my friends in Bristol, so I've got Laura and a few friends, and we met in the Philippines, and now we're super close. But there's been this kind of like narrative. Like, I went to the balloon festival with them this year, the air balloon festival, and then when I was younger, I used to take a lot of like holidays to Bristol and see the air balloons. So it kind of was quite symbolic of like this air balloon. So that's the artwork and the inspiration there.
Okay, cool. I also noticed that you debuted it live at the Belfry Shopping Centre.
Yeah.
How did it go down there? What was the reception?
It was, I wrote it probably 2 weeks before, and we had like an originals gig, and I literally taught the band the day before what this song was. It was, and we didn't have a drummer at this gig. So they was like, but yeah, I think, a lot of gigs, I'm a very small artist. So a lot of people is kind of like, of people that I love and my friends and my family and things, I'd like sent this kind of song to a few people, and everyone was singing it back to me already.
Yeah.
I think, the chorus is quite catchy. It's quite easy to remember. So everyone's like, yeah, fly, just kind of going for it. So yeah, I think
the locals enjoyed it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, they did.
That's good.
The local punters.
The local nanas and stuff.
Yeah.
That's good. What was the first live performance you ever did yourself?
Yeah, going back to my music GCSE, I guess. I was quite competitive. I would say school was always a challenge, and then I kind of did music and drama, and I really loved it. But I was never the best singer, and I couldn't play an instrument at first. But I kind of saw my environment, and for like the last performance, we had to like do a live performance, and I was so scared. There were some amazing singers, and there was a guitarist, so I was like, right, I'm going to do both. So that was kind of my like inspiration to kind of get on the guitar. So I sung for the first time for my music GCSE, and it went down. I remember thinking, oh, like people are actually liking it. I was so nervous, but then from there, my music teacher got me to sing at the end of year assembly in front of like, the whole like year 11s. And I was like really not okay about it.
Yeah.
But I did it, and it's on YouTube. It's cringy as hell, but I like to keep it there because it's kind of shows how far I've come now. And from that, like being like this, wanna be cool schoolgirl, and then, but now like I embrace it. And like before, it was like, if you're a singer, you're like a nerd or something. And like, whereas now it's like my strongest attribute, and why I speak to so many people.
And it shows, like say, it shows the journey that you've won and how far you've come.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and it was just, and I still remember feeling like, I still get nervous at gigs. I think it's good energy to have, but that was just, I remember the judgment more than anything, feeling judged. And I think now I can go on stage and definitely be like, and own my craft, and know that, okay, what I'm going to do is going to entertain people, and it's not about me, it's about them. Like, whereas before it was very, I hope they don't judge me, but now I'm just like, I just want them to have a good time,
Yeah, that's good. Out of all the performances you've done, what would you say is your best?
It's a good question. I'd say every time, and this is going to sound really corny, but genuinely, every time I perform, I get better and better. So I think the last performance I did is always the best, you know?
Yeah.
But, and, you know, I had a time where I had vocal nodules for like 2 years, and it completely, you know, I couldn't sing properly for like 2 years. And I was so scared about like my voice not being able to hold up in gigs. And you know, whereas now I'm very comfortable and I'm able to, you know, I can trust myself that I can get through a performance. So this side of the vocal nodules, every single performance gets better and better and better. But in terms of kind of like memorable and experiences, I went traveling and I ended up getting invited to turn the Christmas lights on at this Filipino like event on an
Okay.
island. And
That's
there was
cool.
thousands of people there. I had 24 hours to get a band together because I just prefer being in a band.
Hmm.
And there was literally thousands of people there. And a lot of
Wow.
the time I needed lyrics because we had to choose songs that like the locals would know, but also I know. And it wasn't my best performance, but in terms of like what it was full blown, like looked like a music festival, like massive
Yeah.
festival in front of thousands of people. And yeah, the reaction afterwards was amazing. And
Yeah.
yeah, I did a YouTube video which went like semi-viral and like documenting the whole thing. Yeah, in terms of experience, it was a very pinnacle moment. And it was when I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I think I need to go home and do this full time because I really loved that, you know, like
Yeah.
that was cool.
Out of all the places that you've played at, what is your favourite venue?
But we mentioned it earlier, I'd say Scream Lounge was one of my favorite
Okay.
venues.
Really?
Yeah, weirdly, it was so disgusting and it was so dingy and so like just everything was wrong with it.
Yeah.
But I used to rehearse there because they had the
Mm.
studios there as well.
Mm.
So that was my first ever band rehearsal place and one of my first stage venues. There was also another venue called the Alley Cats. I can't even remember where it was. But when I was younger, I found that like when I was, you know, 16 to 18, maybe 19, there was a lot more venues.
Mm.
And I've just found that the venues are getting sparser. Is that a
Mm.
word? But a lot of them are closing down and a lot of them are like, you know, you have to have a huge following. A lot of them are pay to play. Whereas before there used to be these amazing venues that you would support a band that maybe are going to get a
Mm.
lot of people in.
Mm.
And as long as you could play, you were getting a gig. It just doesn't feel like that
Yeah.
anymore so much. So
It's just not
I miss
as
those days.
collaborative as it used to be.
Yeah, there's a lot, you know, it's fine doing pub gigs. I do enjoy them. But,
Mm.
you know, when you're doing pub gigs, you have to do a lot of like covers, whereas
Mm.
originals is for these venues that need to support like, you know, emerging
Mm.
artists. And
Yeah.
I'm sure they're out there, but I know locally there's just not as many. And I think that's what I miss. That kind of just, you know, even to this day, like I still have followers that came to see me at the Scream Lounge and now come to like gigs that I do now. And then, oh,
Yeah.
I remember when I saw you in the Scream Lounge, like you know, because I was quite like a regular young performer back then.
Mm.
So yeah, I kind of miss those days.
Yeah. Right. So it says here in your bio that behind that smile is a fiercely independent woman crafted from a youth in crisis who simply wants to bring light into people's lives. Where does that fierceness and drive come from?
I think that it's a good question. I would say I've always kind of been able to be a positive person. I've always been able to take bad and turn it into good. And, you know, and it's kind of that you fly, I fly, we fly thing. You know, I've had a lot
Mm.
of people, and as much as I'd say growing up, I did have a lot of trauma and a lot of things that I have, you know, probably still haven't even addressed. But I've had really, really positive, good people around me. And I can only be thankful for those people. And I think I almost like, because of kind of the things that I've been through, like I feel like I want to be an example of like, it's okay. I've always had this like desire to, like back in the day, I would say it would probably be like to prove people wrong, that it's okay. Like statistically, I shouldn't be here, but I am. Like, look at me, let's go. And yeah, I guess it's a message that I've always held in everything I do. Yeah, and I think even the the people that I surround myself like friends with, you know, they would say the same thing. I'm very much like a go-getter, but I want
Mm,
everyone else to go and get. Like, I'm like, come on, like you can, if you want
yeah.
something, you just need to want it enough.
Yeah, it's an important thing to have, you know, if you want to be successful in music. But do you feel that that kind of thing is even more important now that we live in a world that's seemingly more and more divided by the day, that you need to bring that sort of drive and light to bring people
I think
together?
I think music is so like it's such a, you know, not everyone's gonna like you, but it, you know, if there's like
Mm,
one or two people that really enjoy your music, or you know, even just your message that you have, like I think in a world right now where you can get your reach is endless. You know, you just have to be in the right place at the right time, even when it comes to like online platforms, you know,
mm,
with all like things like TikTok, Instagram, all of those platforms, your reach is, there's so much opportunity to go and find who you think would listen to you. Whereas
yeah.
before you had to be backed with, you know, with lots of money, record deals, labels, and all of those
Hmm.
things. Where now the opportunities are endless. You've just got to go looking for it. And I'm very, I'd say I'm very at the beginning of my journey as an artist. But like, I think it's, I think the impacts that you can have, and it's so like, you know, that the days of like flashing cash and being the most like, you know,
Yeah.
unhumble artist are over. Like people want to relate to their people, and I think I've got that, you know.
Mm,
Yeah, I think through my music, I'm definitely, I would definitely feel that people could connect in a way that maybe they can with other artists as well, of course. But like, I think there's a lot of truth to what I speak, and yeah, it's just but that's to come, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the reach is endless, and there's so much more you can find whoever you need to at that current time because of
yeah.
algorithms and, you know, just
Yeah.
how it is. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I know it's a
Right.
long-winded way of saying it.
Great answer. Right. So another random question for you. If you could save 5 albums by 5 different artists from a burning building, who are you going to choose?
My gosh, that's a lot of albums. I'm really bad with my albums. Okay, 5 albums. Okay, so the first one would be Coldplay, A Rush of Blood to the Head.
Mm,
I'd have to have that. Um, Second one would be Rumours by Fleetwood Mac. Oh, do you know? I've forgotten what it's called. Is it called The Silent Days? Brandy Carlisle. I love that. Uh, Silent Days of Brandy Carlisle. I have to save a Justin Bieber album for sure. So that, I think it will have to be the Justice one. I have to. I'm sorry. He's my baby. He's iconic.
I think if there's any arsonist going into the building to set fire to music, that might be the album, the
No,
Justin Bieber
no,
one.
I'll be saving it. So don't worry, Justin. I've got you. I've got you. um, and then I'd say probably I'll save like a Ren, because Ren has got a lot
Okay.
of things to say, and he's got a
Yeah,
lot of history. So
yeah,
yeah,
that's good. Right, out of all of your songs, which is your favourite to perform live?
cover wise, I'd say I used to do a cover of Alicia Keys' "Falling," but I mixed it with like Seven Nation Army. So it'd start with Seven Nation Army, and then it would kind of like dun 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 dun, and I'll do this like I keep on falling, and then all of a sudden it'd be like I keep on falling. Yeah. So that always had big
Cool.
impact, but I don't do it anymore. I should. It's only since you've asked that question where I'm like, oh, I should probably do that again. Original, I've got a song called Sun Goes Down. You know, I wrote it in quite a dark place, but it's a very kind of dancey track, and I get the
Yeah,
crowd to sing back, and people love it. People know the words, you know, now it's kind of like the big track that I do now. So, yeah,
2 good songs. I was listening to that one just before we came on. It's a good song. Definitely going to be a floor
yeah.
filler.
And you know what I love about it is it sounds completely different live to what it does
Mm,
like on the EP. So, you
yeah.
know, it's a good one to do.
So, what are your earliest memories of recording?
I mean, so I did try at one point when I first started. I don't even know what I was recording on, but I didn't have any knowledge, but I was, I guess, trying to be a producer. I didn't know that at the time. I was very young, 13, 14, and I would actually record like my own stuff, and it was awful. And I actually hated doing it. Like, I really hate producing. That's my thing. Like, I will pay a producer to do it. Like, I'm not doing it. It's just not I just haven't got, I feel like I like to lay down ideas, but in terms of mixing and mastering, it's just not my thing at all.
Nah.
And when I was younger, like when I was, early teens, no, sorry, late teens, I would say I was really lucky. I had a lot of people backing me, and I think I had a lot of people who wanted to produce me and wanted to work with me, and kind of, I mean, I had ended up with management at like 18 years old, and they had a producer, and I was working there, and it ended up not working out because they kind of laid down my vocals with my songs and then just made these songs, and I didn't like how they sounded. So, and then they pressed like CDs, and I kind of was like, I don't want people to hear it. I don't want people to listen
Mm.
to this. So that was actually a really bad experience. But then I met my friend Tom, and he's a producer at Dragonfly Studios, and he's my guitarist. He's one of my best friends. He's Yeah, I mean, I play pool with him, and he's my producer, mixer,
Yeah.
engineer, whatever you want to say. And it was since I met him where I really enjoyed just being in the studio, write collaboratively. So everything that goes into the songs, I am part of that process. And now, because I've got so confident in the studio, I write my songs knowing what I want in the studio to an extent, and
Mhm.
still open to ideas and collaboration. But yeah, and now I would never ever think I'd get to this place. But yeah, I used to hate it, but now it's just like second home to me now. I'm
Yeah.
there all the
Okay.
time.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Have you got like a little setup at home? Do you use a computer or stuff to get ideas down and things?
Not really. No, I mean, for me, I write with my acoustic guitar and voice note, and that's it.
Same.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I do. I think, and then I have in my head kind of the direction I want to go. And like I said, I
Mm.
might be listening to an album that I really like, and I'm like, okay, and they might inspire me to go and write something else. But I think keeping it simple is better.
Yeah.
Like, I like the fact that I can just go to a producer, they have their own creativity, they have their own ideas, and they engineer this track, and you think that's it. Like with Tom, I'll literally go, I feel like we need like a but and then he just does it. It just
Yeah.
somehow gets my brain out, and he's like, yeah, this is what he's, and yeah, we just, yeah, we work great together. So if you ever need a producer, Dragonfly Studios, Tom, he's wicked.
Brilliant.
Little plug
It's
there.
always good to have it's always good to have a good relationship with the producer. Then they can sort of hear what you're kind of trying to do and kind of flesh it out a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he knows me inside out now. We've been working together for like 10 years. So
Okay.
yeah, he's my right hand man, really.
Yeah, that's cool. Is there a track of yours that carries a deep personal meaning for you?
I would say like a lot of my tracks have like, real kind of an underlying score of what
Mm.
I am going through, what I'm feeling.
Mhm.
And especially my old ones, I was very metaphoric with what I used to write, and almost because I didn't want people to know what I was kind of feeling. But I think as I've got older and I've been able to understand myself, I'm actually less metaphoric with my work, and I want people to just, not know what I'm going through, but if it's less metaphoric, they can understand it themselves better. And I
Yeah,
think You Fly, Fly, We Fly is a really good example of that. It's
yeah,
very to the point. This is what we need
yeah,
to say, and
yeah,
it gets the message out there straight away. But
definitely.
yeah,
Can you think of a piece of music that had a big impact on you when you were younger and you've carried that through up to now?
I think I mentioned it before. Coldplay
Hmm.
have always been like, I'd say, my soundtrack. I really, I know some people are like, oh, I don't really like Coldplay, but and no one has to like anyone, do they? But I
No.
think for me, the Coldplay was my mum's favorite band, and they've kind of grown with. I'm not saying I'm a biggest fan of their newer stuff, like their old albums, like the Parachutes album, A Rush of Blood to the Head. That will always forever be my favorite albums. But I think consider, they're still touring to this day. And for me, that almost keeps a memory alive for me. And I have to thank them for that, because if it
Yeah,
wasn't for that journey, and I don't necessarily have to like any of their music, but it just brings something that still
yeah,
lives,
yeah.
So yeah, it's very significant to me.
They do get a lot of stick, and they've had a fair bit this year because of that incident at the stadium. Well, I guess that
Yeah,
wasn't their fault, but
it was that was hilarious. They to be fair, they rode with it though, didn't they? They just kept doing it. They do the camera, and
yeah,
everyone was like, "Gosh, this is so
yeah, true.
funny."
But yeah, those first two albums were, no matter what you think of them, those first two albums were very incredible albums for me, anyway.
Yeah,
Like a lot of
no,
people
they
as
are,
well.
and I think just their they're very current and up with the times, and they're a
Yeah,
very, very long-lived band. There's not many bands
mm,
that have gone as long as them,
no,
and they're continuing to
sure,
sell out stadiums. And
yeah,
obviously it's got a different meaning for me, but I think as a band they've just done so amazingly, and for as long as they're alive, like, that memory for me will continue. So
yeah.
yeah,
So, what's your favourite Coldplay tune?
I really, I really like "In My Place" because I won my first talent show singing that song.
Oh, did
So
you?
yeah, yeah. I was in school. I was in like year 5 or something, and I didn't know the words, but I would just pretend I knew the words, and somehow it worked. So back then, you didn't have like lyrics online or anything.
No, sure, sure.
Yeah, I love that song. I mean, there's many that I think,
Mm,
they've done so many tracks that, like, even if you don't like Coldplay, you can't help but sing drunk in a pub.
mm. Yeah, I think my favourite one's off Rush of Blood to the Head, Green Eyes.
Nines. Is that towards the end of the album? Because I end up getting like,
I really can't remember, but it's a really nice little acoustic song.
oh, okay, I think I know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I think there's so many you could, yeah. There's a lot of karaoke tracks as well, isn't there? Like,
mm,
go-to
yeah,
karaoke stuff.
yeah. A big fan of Yellow as well. Right.
Yeah.
So, what is one of your favourite moments from a live show? Whether that's a crowd's reaction, funny incident that's happened, any moment of personal connection. Can you think of any?
I think, well, I mean, the Philippines is a really
Yeah.
kind of good experience. Like, that is, so the funny thing about that show was, obviously, one, we had 24 hours to put a band together with locals of this island, and they were amazing. Like, they just did so well. I was on
Mm,
lyrics, but what was hilarious is I went to the toilet after my set. I got out the toilet, and I had like hundreds of locals with their cameras out
mm,
trying to like get a picture of me. And I had to call my friend who was like backstage. I said, like, "Cameron, I need security. I can't get out the toilet." So I ended up having to call security to like usher me out of
jeez.
these toilets. Yeah, and it honestly, there was a massive like backstage. It wasn't like very hidden, so people could
Mm,
just come to backstage, and there was a humongous queue just trying to take pictures and stuff. And I wasn't ready for that. There was no way. I think, you as a performer, you sort of get used to that. Thank you, like, yeah. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
mm.
You're not expecting hundreds of people, wanting a photo. And my friend Cameron was with me, and he actually had to like put breaks in. So I would do like, yeah, like, so I wanted to get through everyone, but then he'd be like, "Oh, hang on, she's just going to take 2 minutes." So yeah, that was nuts. That was like
Yeah.
the wildest experience, and haven't had that yet, but hopefully one day it will happen again.
Well,
Haven't had
that's your
that.
first taste of stardom. So when it happens again, you'll know what to expect.
Exactly. Yeah, I've kind of had a
Just
little
make sure
teaser.
to make sure you've got a direct path from the stage to the toilet.
And that's it. The worst thing is, like, I needed a wee again, so I've got all this queue of people that know where I am now. I was like, I need a toilet again. I don't know what to do.
Mm.
Yeah, security was there. Yeah, it was funny, very funny. You don't expect it, but it was all good.
So when you play live, what's the setup? Like you've got a band. Do you want to tell us about them a bit?
Yeah, so when I perform live, I try not to play guitar as much
Mm,
as I can. So I'll just be with Mike. I mean, the reason for that is because I'm quite a good entertainer, so I try and
mm,
get the audience in as much as I can. Then we've got Tom on guitar. He's the one that's also the producer. I've got my mate Ryan on bass. we've got Deimos on keys, but he also has this amazing setup that he has this like keyboard that plugs in. I don't know what he does, like magic. But if we're doing originals gigs, he can play like all the weird stuff that I have going on in my songs, like all like the kind of synths and things like that. And he can play that for his laptop. So he's kind of like the DJ / keys man, which is cool. And then drummer. So we have at the moment the drummer's called Greg, but he's about to go traveling, so there is a position to be filled soon.
Okay. If anyone's out
Yeah,
there,
exactly. Yeah, we are looking actively for a drummer to keep. Yeah, because we had a really good like mix with Greg, but he's on the way to Thailand soon, so I've got to let him go. I really don't want him to go though.
Greg, stay here.
Yeah, please, Greg. And the thing is, I've got a son called Greg, and it's not about
Yeah.
him, but I will always say to him, like, I've written a song about you, like, you need to stay.
This is about you, Greg. Stay.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Right. What is the first song or album that you ever really connected with on a kind of deep level?
I would say it was Rumours and like Fleetwood Mac. And I think, when streaming platform, like I said before, like I wasn't really, my dog's about to say hello. Hello.
Hello.
So I think when, like when streaming platforms came along and it was all accessible, I realized, oh, that person sings that person, that thing. And I think Rumours was the first album where I was like, oh, this is Fleetwood Mac. I really love every single one of their songs and found it experimental. I found it's like, there were songs on there that I'd never heard, and I just couldn't believe how good they were. I've seen Stevie Nicks as well. Like, was it last year? I think last year she was at British Time Festival at Hyde Park. She was incredible, like absolutely insane. But it was the first album where I was like, I love this band. I don't know anything else about them. I just know I love them.
Yeah. Are there any other bands or artists you've enjoyed playing with, seeing live, collaborating with on the local scene?
Yeah, I think Reigate is where it's at the moment. I think there is, we're not far from Brighton, and there's obviously a massive music scene in Brighton, but I honestly, truly believe that Reigate is like a new Brighton in Surrey.
Really?
There is, I think the amount of talented people that are around, like, and we're all good friends and we all support each other. It's kind of that you fly, I fly, we fly thing as well. We go to each other's gigs. There's a girl called Millie Jane Franks, incredible, like got the most beautiful voice and writes her own songs. And then you've got Julia Fawkes, who's also an artist, actively releasing. And there's plenty of bands that are just incredible. And we all kind of, it's very ancestral. Like we're all on each other's bills, and we all kind of like work for each other, do different collab. There's Tim Hain, he's fantastic as well. But I think the Reigate and surrounding areas scene is becoming so big now, and like, there's just artists coming in from further and further every time. So, and like when I was living in London, I still would go to like open mics and still gig in Reigate just because it was there's so much buzz now, and people are starting to come along on nights out just to go and see live music. So it's got so much better. It's so good.
What are the venues like down in Reigate?
Just pubs, really. There is like there's a few. It kind of reminds me like back when like the Beatles were starting, and like when up in the 80s when it was just pub bands and people like going out to listen to music. I think the only thing that I think needs to change is that there needs to be more out there for people to do originals, and people just need to accept it, because as soon as I do originals, people love it. I think the amount of times you hear Amy Winehouse, Valerie, gets a bit boring, but they don't know who you are. Like, that's Amy Winehouse. So I think that needs to change everywhere though, doesn't it? Like but it's getting there, definitely around Reigate, I'd say.
Good.
And like surrounding areas.
That's good to know. Puts Reigate on the entertainment map.
Yeah, honestly, if people, like, every night you will find music somewhere. It's kind of like Dublin, it's got that kind of vibe.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Nashville of Southern England.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not that good.
Music.
It will be there. It will get that good, but not yet.
Right. So, what does the future hold for you both in the short and the long term?
October is super busy for me. I've got You Fly, Fly, We Fly coming out. It's a bit of a mouthful,
Hmm.
that, isn't it? But yeah, that's coming out on the 10th of October, which is also World Mental Health Day. It's kind of aligns, and that's, you
Yeah.
know, so that's a big launch. I've got, yeah, hopefully, um, a few more things evolving around that to be coming soon as well. And then I've got another song called Silhouette coming out at the end of the month, the
Okay.
first, and that's called Silhouette, and it's coming out on the 31st because it is quite a dark track. It's not necessarily a Halloween track, but it's got this kind of, you
That
could
vibe.
definitely add it. Yeah, you could add
Mm.
it to your Halloween playlist, and I'm sure it would sort of blend in the background. But yeah, obviously more to come on that later because I'm still
Hmm.
focusing on You Fly. But the idea is to finish my album. I think so in March. I've set a deadline to March next year to finish my album, and then pray that things, maybe a tour, can happen of some sort.
Okay.
So
That's good.
that's kind of what I'm planning.
Cool. So people go out and check out Billie where she's playing and check out her new releases. So that brings us to the end of today's interview. Have you enjoyed being on?
I have indeed. It's been very, very lovely, and also,
Yeah,
even though it's early and I have a cold, so I apologise to anyone.
that's okay. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day and coming on to do it, even if you do have a cold. Um,
No, you've been
so
great.
yeah. So have you got any social media and website you want to tell people about how they can reach you and stuff?
Yeah, so basically everywhere you can find me on Billie Fox Music, and if
Hmm.
you're listening to this or not watching, it's Billy with an IE. So,
Yeah.
and Fox as in the animal, but yeah, literally BillieFoxMusic.com, at Billie Fox Music, everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. So yeah, and then
We'll take that into the episode. Right. So please like, share, follow, and subscribe to this Sound Like Us podcast on Instagram and YouTube. And finally, to play us out, do you want to introduce your track?
yes, so this is You Fly, I Fly, We Fly.
Brilliant. Billie Fox, I've really enjoyed this today. It's been a fantastic, quite enlightening interview, getting to know you and your
Thank you
music.
very much.
I've really enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure. And
Me
to
too.
play
I've
us
had
out once
lots of
again,
fun.
it's Billie Fox with You Fly, I Fly, We Fly. Billie, really appreciate it. And we'll see you again soon, hopefully.
Thank you.
Take care.
It's the end of the hard days, and with the new days, and with a new phase. Turn our back on the toxic places, the toxic people. I said that I got you for someone to lean on. You don't have to be strong. Just by existing, I am insisting on sharing the load. Because when you fly, I fly, and then we fly. So don't try to fly alone. And when you try, I'll try, and we'll get by. And when we fly, we'll find a home in the hearts of our people. Turn pain into purpose. I know it hurt us and we may feel worthless, but together we'll make it worth it. We'll make it perfect. We'll learn from each other. We're taught by our mothers. We're sisters and brothers. They say that friends are all you need, and you've got me, so let's fly. Because when you fly, I'll fly, and then we fly. So don't try to fly alone. And when you cry, I'll cry, and then we cry. And when we fly, we'll find a home in the hearts of our people. So don't try to fly alone. And when you try, I'll try, and we'll get by. And when we fly, we'll find our home. Because when you fly, I'll fly, and then we fly. So don't try to fly alone. And when you cry, I'll cry, and then we cry. And when we fly, we'll find our home in the hearts of our people. In the hearts of our people. In the hearts of our people.